I'm Beryl, and the theme for today's watermelons. Is it worth the joke?
Yes, it's worth it. It's worth it.
Okay. We've got 6 watermelon dishes from all around the world that use every single part of the watermelon except for the skin. So I'm gonna show you a quick recipe of what to do with watermelon skin. You're gonna take the skin, put it in a blender with a little bit of water, blend it. Duh. You're gonna need a fine mesh strainer, and that's gonna get rid of all of the bits of peel that are left over, and you're gonna end up with a very clear and vibrant green juice. To this, I like to add a little bit of black salt, sugar, and lemon juice. And there it is, watermelon green juice. Honestly, it tastes just like a really healthy green juice. You could freeze it, put it in smoothies, or just like drink it as is. Like other vegetables or fruits, the skin has a lot of nutrients. Really, that's not what this is about. Like, it's there, but this is just more about a way to use the entire watermelon from tip to tail. So with that, let's start with the first recipe.
Hi Beryl, my name is Jean. I've lived in Minnesota since 1991, so a long time, but I'm originally from Delaware, and I have family roots in Appalachia. The dish I want to share today is watermelon gazpacho. It isn't cooked, so you cut up a lot of things like watermelon, jalapeno, cantaloupe, sweet pepper, onion, cucumber, and you can add other things to it if you want. I add parsley because cilantro tastes like soap to me. You can make it as hot as you want by adding more jalapeno or other hot peppers if you'd like. If you take it out, I think it takes away the contrast to the sweet, but use a little bit of jalapeno. It doesn't get too hot if you don't want it to. I grew up eating watermelon with salt on it, so I love savory watermelon flavors, and I really love this dish during a hot season. No cooking, and it tastes so fresh on hot days. It tastes like summer. Salted watermelon is like a natural sports drink. I'm not sure where watermelon gazpacho is from originally, but because of my southern roots, I think about watermelon as savory. I make it all the time when the veggies are in season, but my favorite memory is from when I made it for a good friend who's a trained chef. He said it was perfect for a hot and steamy day. I agree with him. Serve it to your friends this summer. Most people have never tried it, and everyone I've ever given it to has loved it.
I have had tomato gazpacho, but I've never even thought about using watermelon, so this better be worth all the chopping.
Chop, 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 chop. God, how am I still chopping?
Oh yeah. It's like spicy and sweet and sour and garlicky. I'll be honest, I was like, oh, there's cantaloupe, yay, my favorite fruit. I can't really taste it in this, and maybe that's because in general I think cantaloupe doesn't have much flavor. What you can taste is the pear juice. Never in my life have I bought pear juice. I don't even think about juicing pears. Like, I think about pears only as a whole. I really like this. I put ice cubes in my gazpacho because it keeps it cold. It was something my mom always did when we were growing up, because actually I ate a lot of gazpacho as a kid. I get why, like you can make a lot of it really easily. And in the summertime, like you don't have to have the heat on, which is great. Although you have to chop a lot.
It's been ages since I've chopped like this.
In chopping all of the vegetables, I have a very serious like chef question. How are you supposed to chop peppers?
Can you make them all the same size? No, I cannot, chef. It's such a wonky little veg.
I don't know why, I just think like I need that information. Definitely will make again this summer, but I will have to enlist a sous chef to help me with all that chopping. Before the next recipe, we're gonna make a quick meal from HelloFresh, the sponsor for today's episode. We're gonna make their hoisin sweet potato and mushroom bowl with ginger rice and sriracha soy mayo. As somebody who cooks for a living, I can attest that cooking is a task, and HelloFresh actually makes that task a lot easier. It's common even for me to cook the same things over and over again because it's just easier that way. What I love about HelloFresh is the variety that they offer. Every week, there are 40 chef-crafted recipes for you to choose from that range from family-friendly meals to vegetarian-forward ones, meat-forward ones, even takeout classics. So there's always something new to try. Some of their meal options are quick and can take just 15 minutes.
I actually really love HelloFresh's vegetarian options. This bowl does not make you miss the meat. However, if you do miss the meat, you can always add protein sides to any of their meals. The recipe cards are easy to follow, and I like that they guide you in how to present the food, because half of eating is with your eyes. I think this looks great. Let's try it. I'm gonna mix it up a little. Give me some of those mushrooms. Yum. Ooh, the ginger rice is nice. All the different textures, all the different flavors. This isn't something I would have made on my own, but it's awesome. If you're interested in trying HelloFresh, go to HelloFresh.com and use code 50barrel at checkout for 50% off plus free shipping. One more bite, and let's get back to the watermelon recipes.
Hello everyone, my name is Kiran. I currently live in Naples, Italy. I'm originally from India. The dish I would like to share with you today is called Mohabbat Ka Sharbat. Mohabbat Ka Sharbat has a really nice pink color that comes from the rose syrup called Ruh Afza. The drink is a combination of watermelon, Ruh Afza and chilled milk, which is really refreshing after a sunny day. This drink is very popular among the northern region of India, especially in Delhi. It's a popular drink during summers or during Ramadan for iftar. For me, to be here in Italy and to be able to make this drink brings me back to the memories of hot summers in India and the trips to these sharbat stalls. Watermelon in India is definitely associated with the summer season because of how refreshing it is. It is also one of my fond memories with my family when we would sit in the evenings and cut open a huge watermelon and just sit in a cool breeze and enjoy it. Ruh Afza is typically made with water or milk, but when you add the watermelon bits to it, it adds the texture and flavor, and it just all comes together so well. I hope everyone can at least try this once because of its unusual flavor, but it blends so well together. Thank you.
This literally took 2 seconds to make, and it was great because all the watermelon that was left over from the gazpacho became this drinky drink. It's so pretty, it's very, very pink. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. That is next level. I usually am not a huge fan of Ruh Afza. It's a very strong flavor, but when you're able to control the amount of it that goes in, it's great. It's got this very floral, botanical flavoring to it. Ruh Afza actually has a pretty interesting history. I know this is a watermelon episode, but like the Ruh Afza is a huge flavor here. It was actually created in 1906 in India as part of a medicine company. The name actually means refresher of the soul. The claim from this natural medicine company is that Ruh Afza cools the body and provides energy, which is why it's often drank in the summer because it is cooling. And the flavors of this are rosewater and kevra is the flower of the pandan plant, which many of you might be familiar with. And now you know about Ruh Afza. This is super refreshing. It is sweet, but it's not too sweet. That watermelon is like coming through, and the Ruh Afza just makes it something more than just milk and watermelon. It adds that little sparkle, you know? It's really, really fabulous. 10 out of 10, love it. Ugh.
My name is Cindy. I am originally from China, but I grew up here in Austria. The recipe that I want to share is stir-fried watermelon rind. It's a recipe from my home country in China. It's a recipe that my mom started making me when I was 16 years old. She remembered this recipe out of the blue. She used to eat it when she was in middle school. She had a friend who was from the countryside. The mother of her friend would make it in the summer to generate the appetite. So how to do it is heat up oil in a pan or in a wok and then put in soy sauce and 1 tablespoon of vinegar. You can use any kind of vinegar, and then stir fry it until the texture is soft but still crunchy. And then you're good to go. We eat it with rice, or you can also eat it as a topping for instant ramen, soup noodles. It is very delicious. It generates your appetite in the summer, in the heat. And yeah, I hope you like it. We love it. It reminds me of my childhood, and I make it as much as I can now in the summer.
This is my first time having watermelon rinds of any kind. Never had them before, and this was very easy to make. Cheers. Whoa, whoa, whoa. If I didn't know that that was a watermelon rind, I would be like, what vegetable is this? The texture of this is crunchy but tender, and the flavor with the black vinegar and that chili garlic paste is delightful. I love this. If I had to compare the texture to something, I think it might be a water chestnut. Maybe that's helpful? Maybe? Everyone's always talking about like pickled watermelon rinds or watermelon rind kimchi, but you don't have to do all that stuff to it. Just saute them because they are fabulous. The texture is just ideal. I think that the biggest flavor coming out of this might actually be the black vinegar, which is something that I don't really cook with that often. I own it only because of this channel. You could probably replace it with balsamic vinegar or just another type of darker vinegar. This is a really, really easy recipe that comes together quickly that I highly, highly recommend you try. It's the texture. This might be one of the best textured foods I've ever had. The end.
Hi, my name is Alicia. I'm originally from Bangladesh, but I moved to Canada when I was 5 with my mom to be here with my dad. Today I'm going to be talking to you about watermelon rind curry, otherwise known as Turmuche Tarkari. This curry is basically a blanched watermelon rind curry made with shrimp or even prawn. I can't exactly describe what it tastes like. Top of my head, if I'm trying to think of a vegetable, I think the best thing would be like cucumber, because both of them have like, high water quantity and it's like similar, I feel. I don't know. I think the shrimp pairs up really nicely. The fishiness of the shrimp like adds a different type of flavor. It's more bold, I would say. When I was talking about it with my mom, she explained that this dish is a creation of her experiments in the kitchen, and I find that truly hilarious because in my entire life I thought this was such a, I don't know, like a cultural dish, but it turns out it was just my mom experimenting in the kitchen. She said that though there is perhaps certain regions that do eat it, but she's not sure which regions or where it's popular or like how common it is, at least to eat it the way we do. For me, memories associated to this dish would really be just the summertime because, living in Canada, we don't get watermelon all year long. In my house, we all know the day we buy watermelon, the next day we're gonna be having watermelon rind curry. I highly recommend people to try this dish because one, it's so unique, it's so interesting. You're using watermelon rind to make a curry, I love that. It's a very delicious dish with simple ingredients but with a bold flavor, and it also gives a chance to people to try Bengali cuisine or at least trying Bengali cooking methods. I hope people try. I hope people like it. If you don't like it, it's okay. I won't get sad, but yeah, thank you.
I just realized that a white shirt might not be the best color for this meal, but let's just be careful. This one smells really good. Whoa, totally different texture than the Chinese watermelon rind dish. I'm like a watermelon rind expert now. I think because we blanched the rinds, they are much, much softer. Your teeth go through it differently. God, man, it's so cool. Good shrimp. Going into this episode, I definitely had an idea that I would be using the watermelon in ways that were unexpected, but I am blown away. The different dishes that I have made so far are just beyond what I even knew watermelon was capable of. And one thing that I see all the time in the comments is I'm from XYZ country and I've never heard of this dish. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't think that that's surprising. There's so much food out there. I don't know. I don't even know where I was going. I think it's all so cool. And I hate when people say like, this isn't a real dish because I've never heard of it. Man, if things didn't exist only because you've never heard of them, it'd be a small world we live in, you know? I woke up ready to fight this morning. And also to make watermelon rind curry from Bangladesh. And you also all might be wondering, like, Beryl, what are you doing with all like the extra watermelon bits? Let me show you. Yeah, there's a lot of watermelon juice in this house right now. I've even been giving it away and I've been drinking it. I did make watermelon rind kimchi. It's actually still fermenting. I'm actually pretty excited about this one. I've also just been eating watermelon because there's more. There's more than this. So I got a lot of work to do. Okay, the next one I'm very excited for.
Hello, my name is Nada and I'm from Iraq. The watermelon dish I'll be talking about is murabbat ragi or watermelon rind jam. The skin is peeled off and the rind is then cut up and made into a jam like you would any fruit, with boiling and adding sugar and lemon, with cardamom being another common ingredient. It's often kind of dark yellow in color and doesn't look related to watermelon, but some people often leave parts of the red pulp in the rind so it can take a more pink color or even add food coloring. Iraq is a really hot country, so preserving foods through making jams and pickles is a common practice. Even with fruits and vegetables you wouldn't expect, like eggplant jam, mango pickles, and many more. In my case, I've only lived in Iraq for a total of 5 years when I was younger and had to leave because of the unstable situation there. But I do have many fond memories. I was reminded of trying this jam at a relative's house after coming across random videos on YouTube, and I asked my mom about this jam. She remembered having it when she was younger and loved it a lot too. So food is one way for me to reconnect with my culture as I am completely living abroad now. I feel that this dish transforms a part of the watermelon that people often think of as inedible or tasteless and makes it into a lovely jam. I think people should try this since it's not only delicious and relatively easy to make, but also because it uses up the part of the watermelon that's often discarded. Thanks for letting me share this dish, Beryl, and I hope you and anyone who makes it enjoys it. And as we say in Iraq, بالصحة والعافية.
This dish has shaken me to my core because I just had no, like, what? What have I made? Clotted cream. Never had this. I've never had this in my life. And I've never had a candied, jammied watermelon rind. Obviously, my first watermelon rind was 2 dishes ago. This is my first time having watermelon rinds. Okay, I think I'm gonna like dip in the cream and I'm like this. Whoa, everybody be quiet. Oh my God. Wow, this is spectacular. This is spectacular. I mean, it took ages. It was days. So like, to do it, you really boil down the watermelon rind and then you make the syrup and then you boil it in the syrup, then you let it sit overnight, then you boil it some more. It's a labor of love, but it tastes like it. Like, no one's eating this being like, oh, what, you whipped this together? No, you're like, you worked hard on this. It's definitely very sweet. The cream has no sweetness to it because it was just cornstarch and heavy whipping cream, and so it actually does a really good job combining to like bring down that level of sweetness. I think this is something that everybody needs to try to make. Like, if you're getting a watermelon, this also is, okay, a lot of these dishes y'all need to try to make, but this one is really special and I think is a crowd pleaser. Also, I feel like a really cool episode to do on this channel would be like a food waste episode of using parts of fruits or vegetables or even meats that are typically seen as waste and finding ways that different cultures actually cook with them. Because no, this isn't waste, this is liquid gold. So that's, I mean, the recipe is in the description, so check it out. I think I like waxed on too poetic about that. We gotta move on.
Hi, my name is Rachel. I am originally from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and am now living in South Korea with my Korean husband. The dish that I would like to share is subak naengmyeon, and that translates to cold noodles in watermelon. Essentially, subak naengmyeon is cold noodles served in a slushy ice-cold broth with refreshing toppings like cucumber and radish, all served prettily inside a carved watermelon bowl. For someone like me who's a watermelon lover as well as a noodle lover, this is the perfect unique combination of both in one delicious bowl of goodness. I have gathered that subak naengmyeon does not particularly have a long historical background, but has recently gained popularity in the 2000s as a sought-after seasonal dish during the hot months in South Korea. In my own country, Malaysia, I have never come across fruit and noodles paired together in this way, and so it was really mind-blowing for me to discover this Korean delicacy. I have to say that since I've moved to Korea, I am completely blown away by how creative the Koreans are when it comes to this fruit. There's everything from watermelon rind kimchi to Korean punch to even watermelon soju as well as makgeolli, and I love them all. Watermelon is my favoriteest fruit, and back home I used to eat it on the daily. In South Korea, however, it is a seasonal fruit, and this simply means summertime here is watermelon party time. I'd say that cold noodles in watermelon presents a harmonious blend of flavors. There's this wonderful combo of it being slightly sweet, savory, and tangy, which truly results in a delightful summer dish like no other. Everyone around the world must try this subak naengmyeon because it is a deliciously refreshing treat that's just all round yummy.
The grand finale, huh? Like, what? Smells frickin' good. I'm gonna try to do it like this, but like all this stuff balancing, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty, but like it's gotta. Holy smokes. I mean, those noodles are amazing. I need to get it with the watermelon, I think. Okay. That combo is so nice. Spicy and sweet and like, wow. This dish is exciting. It's not the easiest to eat, balancing with one hand on camera. The noodles that I bought, I will put it in the description. Couldn't have been easier to make. They came together in under a minute. How do these people on the internet like eat noodles so cool? Like they always take these huge bites of noodles and are like, and then they look great doing it. I've seen footage of me eating noodles on the internet. It's humbling. It's very humbling. I wanted to mention that even though Rachel is from Malaysia and obviously she submitted this dish, she sent me an email saying that this was a dish that she and her husband, who is South Korean, have really connected and bonded over. And that's just to say that I appreciated that she submitted this because I feel like it's a dish from South Korea, but it's also a dish that's a part of her love story. And that's food anyway, guys. I love that. All of the recipes and any of the foods or products that I mentioned, of course, are linked in the description. Until I see you again, here are 2 more fruit episodes to keep the fruit parade going. I will see you all in my next video.